one thing about LaVar Ball that strikes me is he's not hypocritical. It seems to me he's consistent. So about LaMelo, he's not saying something like, he's like he'll get his studies in. But what is he saying school is about for his kid right now? It's about basketball, because these kids know, and he knows what he wants, and the kids seem to know what they want to do with their lives, which is to play basketball at the highest level. So if something starts to interfere with that, that's the priority. He'll get his studies in as an aside. He's not saying that's unimportant. He's saying that's not what's most important right now. And the reason that kind of consistency is interesting, I think, and important to me as it relates to LaVar Ball is the one thing, Stephen A., and you brought this up about the school, how he's going at the school. The one thing I don't like in what I've seen in LaVar Ball so far is he can come across as a bully at times. He's bullying because he has this platform with which to amplify his message. He can broadcast a message. People put microphones in his face and TV cameras in his face, and they print what he says online and in the paper. And so when he says something like, this coach is no good, what can the coach really do? He's just taking shots he can't return. And that comes across to me as bullying. Here's the thing about LaVar, though. His basic attitude is he's not holding his tongue for anyone. He will punch up or punch down, meaning if it's an institution with more power than him, he doesn't care. He's going to tell you what he thinks and what he believes is true and what's in the best interest for him and his family. If it's a single coach who is not this giant institution and has less power than him, not more power, he's going to treat him the same way. LaVar seems to be saying, I treat everyone the same way. Everyone can get it, and it doesn't matter to me. And that is actually consistent. Even when you look at it in that context, the bullying, while I will still refer to it as bullying, I don't like it, but it is easier to digest than were that not the case.
Well, listen, you could point to that all you want to, but if you're going to point out bullying and highlight how wrong it is, the fact that it's consistent doesn't make it better. It makes it worse, because the reality is that it's unrelenting and it's tenacious. And that's something that you've got to derail to some degree, if at all possible, particularly when you're using kids in order to exercise that bullying. LaVar Ball wouldn't mean anything if Lonzo couldn't ball, if LaMelo couldn't ball. You would pay it. I mean, it all predicates off of Lonzo, because if Lonzo wasn't relevant at UCLA and didn't end up being the number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft, then what would LaVar Ball mean to us? I don't say that disrespectfully, because again, I like the man, but I'm just saying that he would. I'm saying he's relevant because his kids can play. Is that not fair?
But Stephen A., the reason that's not – no, I'll tell you why not. Because his whole plan was for his kids to play. He's a big athletic guy. He stated this. He looked for a big athletic woman with which to have children. He then created these children and raised them since the cradle to play.
That's a different subject.
To suggest that he wouldn't be anything – to suggest that he wouldn't be anything if they weren't good at basketball is to also suggest that that wasn't part of his doing. It was his intentional.
Now that annoys me. That annoys me. That you know good and damn well that's not what I'm saying. I'm speaking about the fact that they're NBA prospects. One's been at UCLA, just got drafted. Another aspires to go to the NBA. I'm only speaking from a literal perspective that if they were not NBA prospects, we wouldn't be talking about him. That's all I meant by that. I'm not talking about the way he raised the kids and he's responsible for trading them and all of that stuff. I'm just saying they're NBA prospects. That's what makes him new.
Yes, but
that's all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is we can't just look at that in a vacuum, because he is the reason that they're NBA prospects. Both in terms of genetically what he looked to do and in terms of the way he raised him. But it is, because you're saying he's only a big deal because of them, but that's his doing.
I'm saying that right now, in the world that we're living in, he's a headline because his sons are basketball players. Yeah. That's the only thing that I'm mentioning. I'm not going into all of that genetically and, he raised them and that's just why they're. I understand that, but they're NBA prospects. That's what makes him news. If they couldn't play, then we wouldn't be talking about them, and as a result, we wouldn't be talking about him. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that, nothing else. And in the end, what it comes down to, if you know that because you're in the public eye and your celebrity has been elevated, you're talking about how he's bullying. And I'm saying if you're bullying, even though you're consistent with it, that doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right for you to come at a high school coach who's relatively defenseless or a school that's relatively defenseless in all of this. That's all I'm saying.
You and I agree about that. And what I'm saying as it relates to the bullying is never that bullying is ever acceptable. But in his own mind, it's not bullying, because in LaVar's mind, I believe, and he and I have spoken about this on and off camera, by the way, in his mind, he treats everyone the same. So in treating everyone the same, including the more powerful than him and the less powerful and the equally powerful, he doesn't conceive of it as bullying because it's always him. He's not treating anyone differently simply because he's empowered. Now, what you and I are saying is that's not enough. If you are so empowered, you should take extra care with those less powerful. He does not do that, and you and I both object to that. But he is consistent.
Yep. At the end of the day, it's his prerogative. But, you know, Stephen A., you played college basketball, high school basketball. I do think there's a lot of life lessons you miss out on by not finishing high school and the social interaction and also playing with your team. But apparently his plan has worked out so far for Alonzo, so we shall see.